Sort of tried to take this video yesterday, but it was indoors and it was a bit dark. I might put some footage in, we'll see how it looks. So it's just another video about the Campal really. And basically what I've done is I've taken it out of the car and completely in order to do that, pretty much taken it apart using the various screws and things that are provided in order to enable that to happen. So I'm just, when I'm putting it back together again, hello Puss, I will follow you along on a journey so that you can see how it all fits together, and by virtue of how it all fits back together again, how it all came apart, and you'll probably see some of my pussycats as well. So let's start off with the base unit itself. I mentioned that there's some nuts just on twirling nuts that you can undo from the base of each of the two, so you'd have one seating pod here and one seating pod here, and you've obviously got the little screws that you can undo on each of them, which enables you to then lift it out, and there is the little slots that slot into each of these slots here, but it enables you to lift each of those out and makes them much more of a manageable weight, which is the important thing. And then you've got the screws here at the sides, which you can screw in just to keep this thing from sliding around. You've got slots here which go to the luggage racks, basically for the of the vehicle, which you could also use in some capacity to be able to secure it in place as well. So I'm just trying to understand myself how I might do that on this vehicle. I'm also wanting to have a, come out the way cat. Oh, I'm also wanting to have some protection across the back of my bumper here. Things are pretty easy to scratch, so I'm just trying to work out how I can secure some sort of a blanket in there, and if indeed I want to secure some sort of a blanket in there. When I say blanket, I mean rug. A rug. It's a rug. Well, we could put a blanket in there, or a towel or something. I think that might work better. Sure. So for me, I think that rug idea is not going to work. Let's just bring you back round again, and then you can have a look at it in place without the rug. I have screwed those in just to secure it in place, and hopefully that's now centrally within that. I don't think we need to go to the we need to go quite to the depths of having to have put in a ruler in there to make sure that that's pretty good. And then I'm just considering again whether or not I need to put anything in here and how to put something in there to stop it from moving. Just to be clear on that front, we have had it in the car for a while, and it does sit quite firmly in the car without bouncing around and without making too much noise. We do have some pots and pans in it, so obviously they make a noise, but for the majority of it, it doesn't make any noise when it is in the boot. Also potentially to note, the base unit here does have some little pads on the bottom of it. So just underneath here, in the middle, underneath here, and along the other edge at the end there are just some little pads in there that stop it from making a racket. So it's nice and cushioned in terms of where it is situated, in terms of how it's seated. So this is the drawer unit. I think you could see just on the base there, we've got these little lugs here, one in each corner, that slip into these slots here. Little lugs, little slots. So you just slide that into the right place, and it should just drop down nicely and into place. Well, rather than slide, you can lift it into place. If you're a bit paranoid like me, you'll be worried about it scratching. So you'll see here, having done that, this is basically a little parcel shelf that we have on the Rifter. Don't know how that works in terms of the other models, but on the Rifter we've got that little parcel shelf there, and you can see it's quite a nice tight fit in there. I've actually moved this a little bit further forwards as well. I was trying to decide whether to bring it forwards this way or backwards that way. What I did notice previously was that these little bits here do interfere with that if you push it too far back. I don't know if you can quite see that in there. There's just like a little groove bit that comes out there. So I think I'm going to keep it further this way in all honesty, I think I had a little bit too far back that way previously. So a bit too far. Montipus has come to join us. Hello, Montipus. Yeah, I know. Say again for me? Okay, right. Seen it on a previous one, so I'm not going to show you again. Out we come. 1, 2, 3, 4 twirly nuts. Now, because it's nicely positioned into place with those lugs, it screws in and down. And then just finger tight, doesn't need to be anything more than that. A little bit more of a squeeze. There we go. So I'm just going to do that for the other 4 nuts now. And again, you've got the position where they go. Just put them into place. Screw them down. Finger tight, sorted. Soft close, just in case anybody wondered. And that's all now securely in place. So having just suggested that it doesn't bounce around too much, I was just thinking to myself, that's all very well, but what happens if we have a crash? Or we'd have to do an emergency stop. Is it then going to go flying? Possibly. So I've just found these straps that have gone through the loop for the luggage holder, and then through the loops that are in there, which I haven't secured in this one yet because I need to get the drawer unit on top. But on this one, I've just got that in there like that, and that will hold this now securely in place. So now onto the cooker drawer unit. Again, it's got a bolt at the back there, which we'll leave that up for now for moving it around. I've taken the cooker that comes with the thing out completely. I've taken a little plastic tray that fits in here out, and I've taken the bit that folds over out. Just one thing. Once again, you've got the slots, and you've got the slot on the bottom here, and they'll slot in. So getting 4 nuts, bring the drawer out ever so slightly, not all of the way, and then secure it from the back. And just in case you do ever lose any of these nuts, or if you want to secure it in more with just a standard nut, this is an M6, and that screws in there no problem. So they're M6s, so readily available. Any hardware shop would do them. And we reach. Here we go. Open the front. Right. Very fiddly. So when you are doing this, these are drawer runners. They do come greased up. I've got my hands covered in grease on a couple of occasions now. So just be careful of that, because you don't want to cover the rest of the Campal unit in grease. If you're not clumsy like I am, then you could probably get away with not getting yourself covered in grease. And this is just really to show you how simple this is. Now obviously, in order to get these out, same process. Open the drawer, undo the front ones, undo the back ones, and then with a little bit of wiggling it will come out. It's quite a tight. Just another thing to note here is this is called the Campal Split. I bought it specifically because I wanted to be able to split it like this, specifically the chairs at the back. I have mentioned that some of the others don't have that split feature at the back there. I do not know if they can be removed in the same way with these whirly nuts, as I keep calling them, and split down or not. Possibly not. It's just worthwhile considering, maybe asking if you are gonna buy one of just a Campal, a different Campal unit to the one that I've got here. That's both sections back in now. Excuse my tissue, which I've just been using to wipe my hands from the grease because I'm clumsy oaf. And got my hands covered in grease again, trying to put that other side in from the drawer runner. So the fold out seat bit has this. So at the moment this is in as it should be. But what happens is when you've got this all the way back, you've got these two bits here that fold up basically like this. And that enables this to sit flat on the rest of the unit there. If you only had the one of those, then that would be up. That would be up at an angle like that. Now on this you can see there are two screw holes. It's a bit fiddly one-handed. And they'll line up with the two screw holes that are identical on the other side here. That would then give you a reference point here. Just making sure I've got all this right. And enable you to line it up on here. Making this look a bit damn painful. Just bring it up ever so slightly to get it into position and then back it off. And screw it in and finger tight again, both sides. Yep, much easier like that. Learning experience for me, and a nice tip for you. If you get that out on the back like that, or you get it folded out, it's a heck of a lot easier to get that in. And also you should probably put these nuts in here first in order to get them started. It also enables you to just look over and line it all up ahead of screwing it down. Yep, definitely do it like that, guys. That was a lot more simpler than having it folded over, having it folded out. The whole base rests nicely on the pieces of wood that are across here, so that's all good. I've just got it in seating position here. Obviously I showed you it in bed position the other day. I also set this up last night in the dining room. I may have put some footage in terms of that so you can see how it looks. Yeah, you've seen it like this before. Get the rest of it back together now. Got the bolt on, stop it from coming out. It's a slightly different size, so you can't go wrong in terms of which side you put it on. Basically, if it doesn't fit here, then it needs to go over here, and vice versa. Well, it kind of does, but it kind of doesn't. If it doesn't match, then if it doesn't match up there, then it needs to go in there. So I just wanted to give you guys an overview of how relatively straightforward it is to put it back together, obviously, as I've shown you here, but equally it should give you a good indication of how easy it is to take apart. And yeah, for those of you who don't have facilities in terms of somewhere to store it, perhaps you need to take it out of your car quite often, then it can be done. The things are still a little bit heavy, but they're not too bad. Certainly a lot easier than trying to manhandle the whole thing in one big unit, having it all separated like that. I think that's all I can tell you for now. That's it. Please like, subscribe, click the bell, and happy campaling.